Come, follow me, and experience the agony of love. Please be seated. Our gospel today is beautiful. It depicts a picture and paints for us a beautiful image of that of Jesus Christ and his mission on earth once again as he delivers his new message to Peter. Come follow me, and I will make you fishers of men and women. Today, there is a wonderful commercial that I am really happy with, because I feel that the writers checked the gospel even before they made this commercial. I'm going to share that with you in different parts of my homily. For the beginning, it's a young man in a carpentry shop with his father. Sound familiar? The boy says, "Dad, I love you." And the father says, "Huh?" Once again, the boy says, "Dad, I love you." And he said, "What?" By now, the son must be so annoyed, he doesn't want to say it again. He said, "Dad, I love you." No response, and the boy walks off. Just keep that in mind for a moment. And how will it end positively is the mystery of our own TV, is the mystery of life, is the mystery of our church. Today, we hear of a great fishing story. 153 fish were caught. Who's counting? I'm wondering who is counting. Now, they say in one of my readings that a Greek zoologist, whoever that was, stated that there was 153 different types of fish in the lake at that moment. Each fish stood for another person from around the universe, the world. There were so many that they counted up to 153. Their nets were breaking. The nets, of course, the net was the church of God, which will stretch and stretch and stretch no matter what the number is, will never break. Our church here can expand and expand and expand and will never break by the love of God. What does St. Jerome have to say about this? I like his theory. It's almost as good as my own. He states that there was 153 people fed that day with the fish that were caught. Now that's a little bit better. But he also goes on to say that it was the great commissioning of St. Peter. Peter, follow me. Peter, I have a question to ask you. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord. And goes on his way. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord. Peter once again must have said, what is he do? Did he rise from the dead and become mute? Yes, Lord, you know I do. So, okay. Keep that in mind. I'm giving you a storeroom to keep in mind. This time, there's another theory that I like, that I really feel special with, and that can really be a truthful example of the 153. Eugene Leverdier, a wonderful prof that I had in the seminary, who did the excavation of the house of Capernaum. And he said that at that time, they were building new churches or synagogues, and they were small. And that's all that could fit into that one church. Sound good so far. But the 153 grew so that they had to expand the church and expand and expand. Now that I could really agree with. Peter is the witness to the growth of the church itself. By saying yes 3 times, Peter is wiping away the 3 denials that he said just a short time before this whole passage was written, and actually lived through the denial. And I do not know Jesus. I do not know him. I don't know him. But now he has a chance to say, yes, I know him and I love him 3 times. Calling Peter meant that Jesus is really asking, Peter, do you love me more than you love all these men? Your fishermen, your business, and that which will bring you great wealth? Yes, Lord, I do love you more than that. Are you willing to give up all of this and come follow me into a completely different way of living? Yes, Lord, I believe. I am ready. Will you give up your entire life for me? Yes, Lord, I will. Here we see Peter almost sad, because what is going to be the challenge? Peter becomes the disciple of Jesus Christ. And what is discipleship all about? There is another wonderful author that I love, is Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who states in his book, The Cost of Discipleship is so great you cannot put a number on it. It is everything you have, your entire being. Let everything go. Come naked to me. Yes, we hear about a naked person in the gospel. Oh my God, I promised I wouldn't go there. But after we strip away everything, we stand naked before the Lord in just who and what he has made in the glory and the image of Christ. My brothers and sisters, what good is discipleship without touching another, without bringing in the sheep, without feeding the sheep with the Word of God, without bringing the love of Christ to another? Discipleship is a wonderful thing of love, but it comes with so much responsibility that it is agonizing at times. We agonize over the love of saying, I love you. Why? Can those words not come freely from our mouth? This week, we had a wonderful prayer service for all those in Sri Lanka, California, Florida, Texas, who have lost their lives so needlessly by some maniac that shot a gun and ended so many. And on the TV, you could hear them screaming, I love that person that's dead in there. I love him who was shot. I love her. She's no longer with me. What do I do now? But yet, we have to here at St. Gregory's reach out. Our church should have been filled with devotees to say, I am ready to reach out and to help and to touch in our own way. And even if it was prayer only, the rabbis spoke, and so many, Father Andrew spoke so eloquently, Father Ben, and all of those who are in chapel with us spoke beautifully of the reaching out and the cost of love. Have you ever paid the price of love? Everyone over 18 here should say yes. We all have. For those who have fallen out of love, for those who have become once again illuminated by that whole theory. And yet we remember the pain. St. Peter was given a warning. Peter, you're going to go. When you're young, you went here and there, wherever you wanted to go, and no one stopped you. But when you're old, you will be taken places you do not want to go. I could only compare myself now to this. Places you do not want to go. Now that I'm in my very golden years, not so golden, I am pulled by my belt to this doctor, to that doctor, to this hospital, to this, almost experiencing the day of hell in the theory of all of the practice that I had to go through, the treatments, the loneliness, the abandonment, the fright, the fear, which so many others, though, are experiencing the same thing. John experienced that here in our parish Priscilla experienced that in our parish. Steve is now ready to go through the doorway of pain and sorrow and experience it. Doyle experienced it. Our parish experienced pain and sorrow, but yet they experienced the love of one another. As I laid in that hospital, my sins did not affect me. What affected me was a sin of omission, that which I could have done and did not do, and reach out to my loving family and to do more. I was in skin and bones, and I looked up and I said, Lord, is there anything left to love? Yes, for I have made you in my image, I heard. The nights were so long, with only one or two at my bedside, my brother, who stayed vigil day in and day out, but Father Andrew, who came so often to bring me the Eucharist, to give me strength. And then when I was put on hospice care, I said no. I started to change and be healed by the grace of God. And that's what we need to do to help others be healed by that grace of God. Jesus said the same thing, most likely on the cross. Looking down at his body, broken in pain and sorrow and bleeding, he must have said, Father, is there anything to love me, or will I just be a memory? The Father looked down and said, you are my beloved. They will always love you, I'm sure. We have the option and the ability to ask that question. Jesus, do you still love me? And listen quietly in the night and hear him say, yes, I do, for nothing shall separate us from the love of God. How tremendous. The loneliness of the hospital because of prayer and because of so much that had gone on with you in the bench here, in the pew here, and Father's preaching and teaching and also praying for me. I regained my health. One of the responsorial psalms this morning at the 8 o'clock mass said, oh, Father, I've cried out to you and you have heard me and you have restored me to health. Yes, he has. But now what do I do with that? He calls me, Emilio, do you love me? Yes, Lord, I do. Are you willing to give up and to change into a whole new environment of life and living with the sorrow and pain and still with reactions from the cancer itself? Yes, Lord, I do. Will you help another? Yes, Lord, I will. And because of that, he gave me a new ministry right here and right now, which I've never thought in my wildest dreams I would now be in charge of those who are dying and those who have lived through pain and sorrow. My cancer support group, for that who has already suffered and have come through, that know the pain that someone else is going to go through, and usher them through that doorway to bring them through, to say, come, come, have hope, even if it's just for a day. Speak to them. What they have left is the grace of God, and the time will be eternal. This day I ask you, do you love one another? Do you love your husbands and your wife and your children? Do you tell them that? Do you ask Jesus, give me the strength to say, I love you? Do you ask Jesus, Jesus, do you love me? As he bows his head and gives over his spirit into your hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit. And he is there, broken, lonely, abandoned. The suffering of the pain and sorrow of the scourging is gone. I realized that mine was only a scourging and not a crucifixion. Big difference. A scourging and not a crucifixion. For I will live another day to speak about it. And I am compelled to speak about it. Not easy, remembering those days of pain. But yet, I have the faith and the encouragement to continue on. This day, the commercial ends. By this miracle hearing aid, the man says, I could hear again. And the young man says in the carpenter shop again, Father, I love you. And he went, huh? Oh my God, he must have said, what's going on? He said, Father, I love you. And he said, I know you do. I just wanted to hear it one more time. Jesus, do you love me? I just want to hear it one more time.